I'm back again. I'm really trying to be more proactive about these things right now, like planning ahead and really getting my act together with these videos because I cannot believe a freaking month went by. I feel like I literally blinked and April just happened to me. Today, we're going to be talking about one big metaphor again. I feel like all of my videos are just me living my life, and then I do something and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like symbolic for this, and then I explain it to you in the most long-winded way. So yeah, strap in, prepare yourselves, because that's exactly what's going to happen this time as well. Also, I feel like in a roundabout kind of way, all of my lovely, long-winded, overcomplicated metaphors are just metaphors for the same thing, but just said differently, like different metaphors for the same thing. I feel like it's just life is just a lot of forgetting and re-remembering things in different ways. Okay, for context, I'm a writer. I'm working on my work in progress, working on my novel, and I enjoy it a lot. Sometimes the process is really frustrating, and a lot of the time I plan, but I still end up just going to my notebook and being like, what the hell am I doing? Because yes, I handwrite all my first drafts. A blank Word document is like my worst nightmare. I don't know what it is, my fight or flight kicks in when I see a blank Word document. When I see a blank piece of paper, I'm ready to write. When I see a blank computer screen, I want to run away from it. I don't know why. So I recently went to my workshopping group, which is something I do every month. We meet up, it's just a small group of friends from uni, and we alternate between whose work in progress we're sort of reading and giving feedback to. And in the most recent session, I was up with one of the other members of our little group. And as always, they were so supportive and respectful. They gave me so much positive, amazing feedback. I had so much to work with. They also gave me they always give me constructive criticism, obviously. But this time they kind of all picked up on like the same big thing that was kind of like very, now looking back, obviously hindsight is a great thing. They all picked up on like this glaringly obvious issue, but I guess when you're in the thick of writing it yourself and you've read it or you've thought of the concept so many times, or you're like focusing on something else, you can kind of miss these big things, especially if you're focused on the little things as well, or if something else is taking up too much of your time. For example, I'm always worried about my descriptions and how my descriptions come across, to the point where sometimes either A, my peers are like, no, your descriptions are amazing, like everything's so clear, and they literally give me a compliment. They're like, wow, like this piece was so descriptive, I loved it so much, and I'm sitting there sweating, thinking that they're gonna be like, the description sucks, give up. They would never say that, obviously, it's just me. But yeah, or B, I tend to over describe things to the point where it takes away from my writing, and it's almost a bit insulting to the reader when you over explain things and over describe things. But anyway, my point is sometimes we can worry too much or focus too much on one thing and miss out on something else that could change or need some tweaking. And if we dedicate too much of our time to one area in writing or just in life in general, we run the risk of overlooking something else that could be actually the answer to fixing or making something better. So this scene, it felt off. It felt like something was missing. It felt like something wasn't working. But I honestly just chalked it up to it being, one, a first draft, and two, that there was little or no description. I basically I was like, you know what, I've just focused so much on dialogue, I don't want to overcrowd the reader and put so much description in yet. So there wasn't much of an atmosphere in terms of like a vibe. It was just atmosphere going off like the drama and the tea that people were talking about. So to me, it didn't feel immersive because it was just mostly one big conversation, and I thought that was the issue. Then at this workshop group, everyone giving me feedback said, in different words, but basically the same thing, which was that one of the characters just really wasn't working for the scene. Like, it was obvious why he was there and how he was going to like move the plot forward. It was obvious that he was needed, but at the same time, because of how I had written him and because of the dialogue I had given him, he was basically quite useless. he didn't carry the energy and the importance that I had intended for him. He didn't serve that much of a purpose. He came across as annoying and unprofessional and kind of just talking himself round in circles because he was just asking the same questions over and over again, not really establishing much or getting things down, which is quite bad and not the way I intended his character to be portrayed at all, obviously. It makes it worse when you realise that this character is a private detective. And although I kind of do want him to come across as cocky sometimes or annoying or maybe not taking things as seriously as he should be, I also do want him to be respected and likeable and have a real purpose and a real drive and focus that the reader can clearly feel and notice. I want him to appear like he knows what he's doing, because he does. He's very good at his job. He's a good person. He genuinely wants to solve the case that he's been put on. In this scene, he just really wants to find out as much as he can about the situation, and he really wants to do whatever he can to help the people around him that have hired him, even though he might not like some of them at times. He has this deep drive and fire inside of him to help crack this case. I'm giving you like all the tea on my work in progress. I'm still in like the deep depths of like first draft territory, so it's probably not going to be out yet for like, I don't know, a year at least, if I really lock in a couple years, let's say. But yeah, I'm giving you all the tea anyway. But yeah, so that's the kind of character that I wanted to build up. And that's the kind of character that I had developed and envisioned. But none of this was coming across on the page. None of it was landing. Looking back at my work, and I honestly didn't even need to read it back. I just kind of remembered what I wrote and something clicked. And I thought, oh yeah, they are totally right. How did I miss it? Because it was so obvious. The way I had written this character absolutely was not like his character at all. I think in terms of development, I had kind of not done so much work on him because he is more of a side character. And even though he is still a crucial part to the plot and an important piece of the story, I just thought I knew who he was enough to just kind of write him in without needing to know anything further and really flesh out his character. Coming back to this workshop, I realised that actually for me that was the wrong approach. And this weekend I opened my big puka whatever notebook, and I just wrote down things about his character from his childhood to if he wore glasses, to what questions he asked my main character during his investigation and their first meeting, because I really needed him to just be focused and know what he wants to say and find out. I really did end up with really good little details about his character that really just made me excited and made me really like happy to have done this exercise on him, and really just, yeah, it made me excited to write the scene again, because at first coming back from the workshop I was a little bit like, oh god, I know I can do this, it's just a first draft, like it's not the end of the world, but how am I going to work this out? And just giving myself that little bit of time and that little bit of reflection really helped me to make myself excited about the character again and really get to know him and find out little details and cool little weird things and like maybe an ability that he has that is not really crucial to the plot. And you know, if I write it in and then I decide I don't need it, I can take it out. But it's just, to me as the author, as the writer, it's important and it's cool to know for me. I really do believe in just developing a character enough so that even if every little detail about them doesn't make it into the book, I, as the writer, still know what drives them and why they do what they do. Yeah, I really just want people to enjoy my book and not read something that is not really going anywhere, and really fall in love with the characters that are actually developed and they have drive and focus and they do things for a reason. It's not just like pulling something out of my arse, you know what I mean? in the chapter that I wrote, in the first draft that I wrote, he asked the same questions about 3-4 times. This kept hindering the pace. He was going around in circles, bless him. It accomplished nothing and it just didn't work. In my mind, I knew what I was trying to do, and I think now I have a clearer idea of him and what he wants to focus on. So I can still achieve the same thing with his character, but just go about it in a different way. And that's the beauty of doing it anyway, even if it's not perfect, because you can go back. You can ask people for help. You can be open to what others have to say and their feedback or their help or their support. I know it can be so scary when you want to do something and you have a clear idea of how you want it to go down and you care about this idea or this thing so much that you just want it to be executed perfectly because you have such high expectations and excitement for it. But then you end up putting up so much pressure on yourself, or maybe you start to fear what others might think or say or do. So you just find yourself in this state of like freeze where you don't even try because you just talk yourself out of it. Because it had been one of the first sessions where I had really received some constructive feedback about something so big and so glaringly a problem and so glaringly obvious, and so kind of, for a moment at least, I felt so disappointed in myself and so ashamed and so frustrated. I was basically kicking myself for not writing better, for not writing the character better first time. But then I sort of realised, I had this kind of moment where I was like, actually, how lucky and grateful do I feel right now to have this group of peers and friends who not only took the time out of their busy lives and schedules to sit down and look at my work and really sit with it and see what was working and what wasn't, and be so positive and kind to me and so respectful and give me their honesty and extend their help and their suggestions. Like, how great a position is that for me to be in? And actually, there's no shame in getting feedback. There's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in realizing, yeah, you're right, that doesn't work. Thanks for helping me see it. Or, actually, yeah, maybe we should try your way now, or something like that. I think I'm so lucky to be in a position where I have such an amazing, creative, positive, respectful group of people who genuinely celebrate me and each other and our creativity and our works in progress. It's so cool for me as well, reading other people's pieces. Sorry, this is another side note, but every time I read my friends' pieces of work or their works in progress, I always have this moment where I'm like, wow, I'm reading a future published book, and I'm seeing their process, and I'm seeing what was the original thing and what they changed, and it just feels so special because I'm like, wow, I'm getting an exclusive look on probably a future bestseller because all of their works are just so amazing. And yeah, they're definitely not judging me for, my first drafts, my second, my third, my fourth draft, whatever, you know what I mean? They're definitely not thinking any less of me for my, my character problems. And I definitely would not judge any of them or anybody else for it as well. So why am I being so hard on myself for giving it a go and for getting help or support? And that's life in general as well. Sometimes we miss things and that's okay. Sometimes we just need help. Sometimes we just need to be vulnerable and let others in on our situation. And sometimes we just need to take advice or do it a different way. And there's no shame in trying different things out. That being said, I'm not saying let people be mean to you and just take it, because obviously throughout life, unfortunately, we learn that there is a very big difference between people just ripping you or your work to shreds or using big fancy words so they sound like they know what they're talking about, or literally just judging you because they're insecure. And then, someone actually sitting down, taking the time to listen or taking the time to really notice, take a step back, really wanting to celebrate you and see you go far and see you be successful in whatever way that looks like to you, because they just want you to be happy and do well. So of course they want to help you in any way that they can. Be discerning of, the people who are going to take the time to really be with you and sit with you and support you, and then those people who are just going to shit on everything because they're no fun and they can't see a vision. But yeah, my point is there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in going back to the drawing board, trying it another way or someone else's way, and just giving it a go. I think that's what I keep coming back to, is this idea of I don't have to have all the answers right now. I just need to keep moving forward, and I just need to try, because I was writing the other day and I was really stuck, and I was kind of dreading doing a writing session because it was one of those times where, you know, you kind of stuck. I knew where I wanted to be. I knew where I wanted to go. I just didn't know how to get from point A to point B. But yeah, I forced myself to write, and actually it was a really good session. Started out having no clue what I was going to write and how I was going to establish certain things. And I ended up rewriting a certain section that I didn't like, and then even answering some questions that I had about certain events or characters. I also just, as I was writing the beginning, I was getting inspiration of what other things could happen in the middle, or what could be an answer to this at the end, because I just let myself write without the need of knowing, and I just did it. I just found myself in this flow state, and I think I do that a lot, where I kind of dread doing things. I dread being creative. I dread because I'm like, I'm not gonna do this right, or I'm not gonna get this perfect, or it's not gonna look as good as it does in my head, or whatever. And then I just do it, and I get in this wonderful, beautiful flow state. And I don't know, I just stopped and I just thought, like, wow, isn't that like life? Isn't this situation like life? Because I'm finding myself in a really weird energy right now, where I feel like, for the sake of planting an image in your head and to maybe understand me better, because I'm forever a visual learner and I'm forever making up images to like help myself understand what I'm going through. But I feel like I'm at this clearing in this deep dark woods, and I feel like I've just been standing here for months, for years even, because I know where I want to go, but I don't know how I'm going to get there, or if it's going to take too long, or if I'm going to take the wrong path, or if I'm going to end up somewhere completely different. So I've been standing here forever trying to work out which path to take and what to do, even though I have no map and no compass, there's no signs, but I just have this voice inside of me that's like, just go, just move, it's fine. Like, I have a good feeling about this place. I think it's safe. I think wherever we end up will be good. It's kind of aesthetic. This is a deep dark woods, but it's kind of a vibe. We just need to get moving. The vibes are great. Like, intuitively, we're gonna get where we need to go. We just need to move and go somewhere. Because I don't want to try, because I don't want to mess things up, or I don't want to risk getting it wrong. And I don't know exactly what will happen, because I don't have that power. No one knows ever what will happen, because that's just life. But because of all those things, I'm just keeping myself stuck and still, and I'm just not moving forward. What I've found throughout my writing process was that not doing it makes things worse, because I can stress myself out about plots and characters and not writing perfectly first time. Or I can just write, and you know what happens when I write? I enjoy myself. Like I said, I get into this flow, this rhythm, where it just makes life make a bit more sense, and it just makes me feel like, yeah, I've got this and I can do this, and it's all coming together a little bit more. I work things out because I have something to work from. It might not work at first or be perfect first try. It will never be perfect first try, because nothing ever is. But it's something to work with. It's something to build upon and get feedback on and reflect upon, and, you know, work out the kinks and what's working and what's not. And I have to keep reminding myself that, like, guess what? That's life. I need to stop stifling my growth and holding back my creativity and not giving my ideas and even just my life a shot because I'm worried it won't be good enough. I just need to give myself a bloody chance to get something down and out there, because I also just need to enjoy the process, because that's what it's all about. Life is just one big process of finding out what works for you and finding out what doesn't work. And maybe some things might work at one point of your life, and then as you move forward, you might find new things that work even better. It's just all about discovering, and that process of finding yourself, it doesn't have to be perfect. I know it feels overwhelming when, now more than ever, it's so easy to compare yourself to others and see others doing it really well or right or perfectly or whatever. But just do you. You're not anyone else. You're yourself. And I'm really thankful actually to have this process of writing and just creativity in general to show me how to enjoy the process of living and learning and coming back to myself and discovering what it all means to me. I think in this case it's something that I am definitely always forgetting and then having to remember and come back to. But hey, if that's my journey and my process, then I guess I'll have to learn it as many times as I need to. Sorry, how do you know how many times I had to rewrite my first chapter before I found a beginning that I actually liked and that actually worked? I have had all of these characters and this story idea with me for so long, since I was like 18, 19, maybe earlier. I'm now in my early 20s, and there have been times where I felt like giving up, or like the story's too complicated, or like it just isn't working. But the love I had for the idea and the love I had for these characters, the passion I had, I didn't give up, and I'm not giving up. I'm still very much, like I said, in difficult first draft, working everything out and nothing makes sense territory. But I'm taking my time to enjoy this and savour this. I know in my heart that this will be a published novel. It may even be somebody's favourite book, maybe, who knows. And I know for me it will probably be my personal favourite out of all the ones that I'm going to write, because I've spent so much time with these characters and they all mean so much to me. And yes, at times the writing process is so frustrating, but I know there's also going to come a time where I look back and think, wow, I missed that. I loved that book. I loved writing that book. I loved those characters. What a great, exciting time in my life. I think one of my main issues is control, wanting things to be good, wanting things to turn out okay, feeling a little nervous or worried, or a lot nervous and a lot worried because things don't work out first try, or things don't go as expected, or things don't happen as fast as I would like them to. Just with life in general and with the creative process, life right now for me is just, it feels like it's not clicking into place. And I know everyone feels like that throughout life. I know everyone feels like that in their 20s. I'm definitely in that boat. I'm someone who's very anxious, and I'm someone who likes to have a plan. I like to know what's going on and what's going to happen. And of course, for life, that's just not realistic. I'm not gonna know what is gonna happen. I think a lot of the time life is just about taking risks and taking leaps of faith that maybe at the time feel like they haven't really paid off in the way that you had hoped for, and it may lead to you or us or me feeling small or embarrassed or ashamed, and then, you know, too nervous or too scared to try again and keep trying. But I'm going to remember how many times it took me to write my first chapter, and write a first chapter that I actually liked and actually made sense. And maybe throughout this whole process, I will go back and rewrite it again. Who knows? But I'm just going to remember how many times it took me to get to one that I actually liked. And I'm going to just have to get rid of that need for control and just do things that I want to do, even though there's no guarantee they're going to turn out the way that I want them to, or I don't know where life is taking me. I don't know where I'm going to be, but I will know, and I just know that I'll be moving forward and I'll be even closer to the person I want to be and the life that I want to live. And maybe I'll get somewhere even better than the life that I think I want to live right now, the person that I think I want to be right now. Maybe I'll be someone even more amazing, or I'll have a life even better than the one that I can even imagine. That's what I've got to say. That was the big metaphor of life for this week. I hope you enjoyed. I will yap to you soon.